Camp Blood. Somebody asked for it, and as Mark Polonia is an on and off director for this crap franchise, I decided to give it a watch. You know your franchise is bad, but even Mark Polonia is not keeping the rights. Now the obvious quality issues make me not review every installment in full length. This was before I realized something fishy about this Wolf series. I can't even do a proper review for every installment, lacking access, honestly, to X Animated and number 9, but I can summarize my experience. My expectations were set low, but it is instantly went under when I've seen the first one straight on Handycam VHS. Then I started wondering if I'm watching some very lame porn. Because, you know, the Handycam VHS is not as bad as Todd Sheets' dubious works. But, you know, I did not expect it porn. And while there is a sign, I don't see a camp. The clown with the machete is lame, and while the inspiration is clear, Crystal Lake worked because it had the history, the lore behind it. This was just a joker. Okay, it has a backstory. Some woman went home, catched her wife homewrecking, and since then she is triggered by sex and lives in the woods. By the way, our protagonists are big boobs, small boobs, jerks, and psycho. And to my deepest dismay, we don't see big boobs. Crap, there is no more nudity after the intro scene. What happened? Okay, I know, the director hoped the women will all take off their top, but they refused. Fuck. Anyway, in the end, turns out the whole town was only in it or something like that. Like, what was that movie? Who cares? Big Tits kills Boss Killer, the end. Oh, and these characters operate on soul logic, meaning you can mutilate them as much as you want, but that won't hinder their movement or anything. Oh, and for the final twist, the clown is alive and teleports, because why not? But it was just a dream. I mean, Big Tits went mad at some point and killed everybody. But it was just a dream, or something. Point is, Big Tits is dead, killed by the clown, which doesn't exist. The same year, obviously shooting back to back, came CB2. Maybe the money they spared on the women not taking off their clothes went to finance a part 2. After the intro kill, Big Tits is wandering the woods somehow, and the director watched too much Friday the 13th, that's obvious. It was just a dream! Fuck you, movie. We get full frontal nudity this time from some talentless hack plastic boobs, so who cares? The story here, in a nutshell, is some movie director want to adapt what happened Amityville style. My problem is we have three suspects who the clone is, but when they show it, it is a man. Obviously, because, no boobs. While all other suspects are female, as they should be, as we established that the clone or serial killer who lives in the woods at not Crystal Lake is a female. This movie is dumb, although while story-wise it sucks on the technical level, it is a bit more competent than the first one. Hey, now this was interesting. When people kept disappearing undeniably, the crew packed up and decided to go home. Around like 75% of the runtime. That's cool. Oh, we have a I know what you did situation here. I know what you did last summer. This recently, came out the requel for that. Point is, back to the show. This killer is the sister of the previous one who died but is still alive, or maybe Big Tits was the crazy one all along. Comes the third movie. Next comes Within the Woods. What is the third installment of this thing, franchise or whatever, and is officially removed from the canon, but I watched it anyway. But before that, please watch the short cameo from the beginning of this movie, our beloved Mark Polonia visits the screen. In Hollywood, even. It's just... take it or leave it. As far as I understand, the first killer is dead, and the second is also dead, and now the previous protagonist went mad and is the third killer. This one had at least some professional camera, but I prefer the acting of the previous installments. The last words prove that sometimes having money to get the lowest grade professional actors is not always the best thing. Sometimes you should consider to just go with people from the street, your friends or whatever. This movie's setup is shooting a reality show in the woods. I mean, game show where you have to survive 24 hours for $1 million. The last words of the current killer is inaudible, but I think Big Boobs from the previous two movies got into an asylum, so this clone is actually a fourth killer, one of the participants of the game show who wanted to hit big in the music industry and chose to be famous through a massacre. Sure, why not? Actually, thinking back after watching what I watched, this first three movie making a trilogy is, if you like low budget flicks. Her leg has nothing problem at all. She's just unable to live. But there is too much from the movie, so he probably wore some Kevlar or just a ghost or something. At least as a party watch, or, can tolerate the genre. Sure, I give you them. Now let's see what the replacement So officially third canon movie can offer. Yep, definitely Mark Polonia style. Although by title I thought this is the Zero's movie, as this is First Blood. So I thought this is a prequel. And here is him. Of course, he had to insert himself into all his movies. Fuck this shit. Also seems the clown now is definitely male, not an angry lesbian, to my disappointment. To the audience disappointment. Yep, confirmed at the 13th minute that Mark Polonia is either homophobe or just wanted to avoid the whole topic. I have to show you this. You won't believe this freaking stupid crap. Yeah, this is the very beginning of the movie. And our clown is dead. For serious. Because we need a more genuine Michael Myers or Jason. Yeah, Jason. Who the fuck cares at this point? That's our new killer. Yeah, some mutant, whoever. Fuck this shit. This attempt was pathetic. This is the big reveal. The teacher was the killer. They are studying about urban legends and stuff. And so that's just a mask. So there was no mutant. By the way, there is some Scream-like twist that she and turn back the camera. Blah blah. This guy, they were mock robbing the students, but she actually killed them all. So that's just stupid because she's crazy, of course. I don't know how they will continue this crap. There are a shitload of follow-ups. Okay, so Campbell 4. Nope, not doing it. Nope, I'm tapping out. Campbell 4 can suck my dick. Nope. The Russians called the Campbell 3 Campbell 4, so we are still not out of the title issues. This has zero continuity with any of the previous movies, as the legend now is about some homeless woman who got raped and went to the woods and is killing everybody. But the clone is a male person anyway, because fuck you, that's why. Now, Camblood 5 is actually Camblood 4 Part 2, just to move the wheel. I can guess the killer is actually the offspring of the homeless woman. Who knows? Camblood 666 has a part 2, but it's not part 2 in the way because fuck you, that's why. We will talk about part 2 when it comes in order. I mean, production and airing order. Different director here. There are 4 movies between the 666 part 1 and part 2, and like zero continuity again with like anything. Now, just to confuse us, Polonia is back with 2 movies after Camblood 666 was made by this other director. Camblood 7, just to pull a prank on you. And Ghost of Camblood, which has no numbering. Because sure, on top of the weird numbering, these 2 are also in continuity with each other. Just to mess with your head, as I said. Then comes Camblood 8 Revelations, which does not reveal anything, of course. Then Mark Polonia returned with Children of Camblood, which is like the 9 if you go back to numbering, but we don't. Because Ghost of Camblood is technically, if you do the numbering, is Camblood 7 Part 2. So, after Children of Camblood came a new pair of writer-director and made Camblood 666 Part 2, because that makes sense. And after that comes Camblood X, aka 10, aka Camblood Animated. 8 was animated, and as soon as I can get my hand on it, we will come back to that. Because of Amityville. If we can't Children of Camblood as Camblood 9 and Camblood 666 Part 2 as we put back to Camblood 666 no undertitle, and we consider Ghost of Camblood as Camblood 7 Part 2, we can say Camblood X Animated is Camblood 10. But we actually did skip by numbering Camblood 9, and it will come back to bite our ass after we watch Camblood Clone Shark. Because Camblood 9 was released after Camblood Clone Shark, claiming the title Camblood 10 and just marking as another not numbered title, even though it does not make sense. But what does in this series? For Camblood Clone Shark, don't worry about the good picture quality, that's stock footage for the intro. Polonia still has his grainy low-res camera to record his own footage. After the scene literally from Scary Movie,
helpless. Ah! There you go, Mr. Scary Killer.
The clone, who really needs to do some cardio, manages to catch up, but thanks to being off camera, his would-be victim manages to grab a bow and arrows. The curse continues because the victim decided to pollute the waters, giving this flock an environmental message, which I just made up because I can have fun with it. The cutted head of the clown manages to possess a fish. The catfish literally pokeballs into a shark in a lake. You can make this up. They even have the effect to pokeball. This is literally a Pokemon. There. Now, aside being Joe's ripoff, people dying at the local water and mayor abusing power to keep the place open, our characters are the brother of the clown, who the locals trying to lynch because he sure inherited the evil. Evil dies tonight! The sheriff, who tries his best not to make things worse, and the woman who owes the clown, having a psychic link to it still because Joe's free or something. By the way, the mayor does not try to keep Camp Blood, whatever its original name is. There were two original names given inside the films. Does not try to keep open the camp because everyone wants it to keep closed, but she wants the city town to keep functioning. No, it's not tourism, it's just the local residents keep going to work or something like that. The biggest problem of this mess is not the visual quality, which is decent, nor the pacing, what is serviceable, or the story progression, which is kinda non-existent. I mean, there is a framework to bring this movie through, so I don't say we don't have a story, but Polony at this point of his career is just going through the motions. This guy, he's the only one who tries in this movie. He would still need directions, but the others and whatever are just don't even tell their lights properly. It just look at it. He's looking for direction. He's kind of natural. He has practice. You can see that. But what was that? Just uh, worse than amateur acting. It's just that is sad. I can't show you the female boobage, but I can show you the male boobage.